Welcome back, everybody, to the CONEXPO-CON podcast. I am your host, as always, Taylor White. I would like to thank our sponsor, John Deere Power Systems, for sponsoring this amazing podcast. And I do want to remind everybody that March 3rd to the 7th, coming up in just weeks, regardless of the timeline, okay? I want everybody to go podcast 20. Please go buy your tickets. Go to the website, CONEXPO-CON, 2,000 exhibitors, 3 million plus square feet of just everything that you want to see. If you are talking, you want to specifically see this, you want to specifically see that, it is all going to be there, and all the top industry pros are also going to be there. So please, I can't stress you enough. Podcast 20, get your tickets. With me here today, I have somebody who is going to be at the show as well, and I've had the pleasure of meeting myself on a panel a few months ago in Chicago. Ebony, thanks for being on today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We were just in Chicago for everybody. Ebony Jennings and myself, we were on this panel talking to some people about, our experiences at the show and looking forward at what's coming. So, Ebony, I think, and I never even got the time to also fully understand. Why don't you give people a little bit of an introduction of who you are and what you do?
My name is Ebony Jennings. I am a third generation business owner. My grandfather started off in the Asphalt. He worked many years for different companies, but he started his own, which is my company now, Jennings Asphalt, in 1984. I took it over in 2021, and we're thriving. I am the youngest asphalt company owner in the state of Wisconsin, where I live. The only woman and the only woman of color in the state of Wisconsin that owns an asphalt company. So, yeah, I've done a lot for the with my community by I do a lot of posting about our work and to gather more people to get the insights of asphalt, because when you think of construction, you think of like residential or commercial. When you think of road construction, you may think of concrete, or some people think of asphalt, but they don't know the ins and outs of it. So I love showing that side of our business.
So that was fantastic. And you touched on something that I think is actually so unique and crazy, because yes, we have women on the podcast that own construction companies, but specifically niching into women, women-based owned asphalt companies, but then also women of color owned construction companies. That's, an amazing thing on its own. Like, maybe touch a little bit on that. Like, any hurdles that because of that, or positives because of that? It's a pretty unique scenario. So I think that's something to definitely talk about.
We'll start with the positives first, because I like to showcase that everything is not, super negative, especially as being a woman in a male dominated industry. Actually, there are a lot of men that are extremely welcoming to women in this industry. So I would say that was one of the pros of owning this company, is because men, when I'm going out in the fields, with the times that I do have to go out in the field, they have been nothing but warm and welcoming, and let women do their thing, and taking on our expertise and, going along with that, not combating my ideas or how things should go, or maybe this will work this way, or scheduling. They do respect that. Another positive thing of being in this business, there's not a lot of people, men or women, that look like me in this industry. So when they see me out, it's almost like you are a community hero, or they never see anything like that. So they want to engage more. How can I get into something, like that? So I love that part of this business, and just gaining more momentum for the company to take a chance, on me. So when I do step into rooms, it's not just a pretty face. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I'm experienced in this, and I gain my respect and trust that way. I would say the downside of being in this business, you definitely, even though that was the pros of it, I definitely had to network, improve myself, and go out there and fight for what I wanted in this business. Especially just hearing the stories of my grandfather, the struggles that he went through. I feel like I had to vindicate him in this business. Yes, we have certifications put in place for smaller businesses and minority businesses and women-owned businesses to be able to bid on projects and actually compete. However, I wish that we were all on one playing field, that it goes by the level of and quality of work that you do and not just like low bid or, oh, in order for you to work with this prime contract, they need to work with you. So you have to have these certifications to say, hey, I am a Black business owner. I don't really, like that part. It's the name of the game. So even though I have all these certifications, I had to get that to be able to play with the big boys.
That's an interesting take. And I definitely want to follow that up. For everybody listening, what she's talking about and what we have as well here too is, like the city that I live in will put out tenders and you actually will qualify higher than somebody else if you have an indigenous factor to your business or if you're LGBTQ factor or women owned or minority owned. And what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe possibly you don't see that as a positive, and maybe we should all just be like, hey, we are all just people that have, construction companies, and we're all bidding on the same project. How about we go by quality, and price, rather than maybe all these other things. So, do you see the minority slash, women based bid winning as a positive or a negative?
I see it as a little bit of both. So let me explain why. I see it as a negative because you're coming in already as minority first, not business owner, not being qualified, not being skilled. I'm coming in as a Black woman that you need to be able to at least you need to factor out 30%, contract me 30% of this project just because I'm Black. I don't care for that part. I know that it's needed because people of color have been at a disadvantage in our earlier years to be able to compete on projects. So you are being basically really oppressed. You can't get in on these projects or you're not big enough, even though you have the skills, you have the years behind you. And I feel like that's what my grandfather had to deal with. He didn't have any certifications because there weren't any certifications, back then. It's either you win the contract or you don't. Now, the good side of that is you have those certifications to protect you and to say, hey, we get a shot at getting onto this project. No, it may not be as a prime contractor, but you still are getting your name out there, showing your level of skill in this business so you can perform. I think that is a good side because, hey, you need those certifications to be able to play big in this game. If you're trying to scale out of doing just driveways and patching, you're going to have those certifications to be able to get you, in until you can get to a prime contractor level. It's unfortunate, yes. However, it's the name of the game. And at least in this field.
Yeah, and take those things to your advantage too. At the end of the day, they're a positive for you. Like, if you're gonna win, the bid over over the next guy or girl because you fit it, you check more boxes, and hey, yeah, necessarily not a bad thing for you. But at the same time, kind of what you're saying too, as well, is coming into it. It's like, well, how do you make friends in the industry? If it's like, oh, well, they're going to win the bid because, they check more boxes off than us. And I understand that. But I think looking at it as a whole and what you're talking about as well, too, it also is just trying to solve a problem. And I think that the problem being that we need more women and minority based business owners in this world, not just, your city or my city, but specifically. So talking to kind of that, what do you think we have to shift and what do you think we have to change or what do you think we have to do to show in order to kind of fix that problem and get some more businesses that are more diverse in the industry?
I think that we have to, honestly, if I'm being honest, I think we have to look at the skill level. And before you even look at the skill level, I believe that if we put trades back into high schools like we did, or even as low as middle schools, at least for them to kind of get that momentum, because we don't live in a world where you want to go work with granddad in the summer. We don't live in a world where they push trades a lot. You more so will see the 4-year colleges are being pushed, and that doesn't work for everyone. So I think that would be a great thing to start there. However, as far as running the business, to really look at skill level. really take a look at it, and we need to do more training within, because I know a lot, especially the bigger companies, if you are not coming in skilled and ready to rock and roll, you're fired. Those guys who don't have a lot of skill, but they are looking to, to be trained and to be cultivated, really don't see that with the bigger companies. So they'll come to maybe like a smaller company or a mid-sized company where you can get because I know for me, we do a lot of on-site training in March before we stepping out into the field in April. So I think a lot of that would to just look at skill level and start giving opportunities and more training. And I think we'll go far.
I had a podcast with Mike Rowe, and we were talking about how they took trade programs or trade classes out of high schools, whenever, 70s and 80s and, 60s, 70s, 80s, they're trying to push, post-secondary universities and colleges and stuff. And it was kind of like trades are looked down at like the second class kind of thing, but they took shop out of school and auto and stuff. But you're exactly right with how do we fix a problem? It's about fixing the problem as a whole and just getting people to observe the trade from a more positive standpoint as well too, and not look at it like a second option, which I think is kind of the problem too, right? Is it's almost like a second option. It's like a second class job, which is totally not what it is, but that's how the world perceives it. Or maybe that's how we're told to perceive it. What can we do as our part? Is it social media? And then what do we show on social media? Like what are we showing these people about the trades? Are we showing them success stories? We're showing them the truth about working out in the weather on the nice days, but also there's bad days outside too. What can we do for our part to do something? Is it something like social media? Do you post on that and try to show kind of what you're doing on there?
I do. This goes back to what I said on the panel. People go where the hype is. I do believe that a lot of business owners in this industry will agree with me where it's hard to find good employees that's going to stick, and play and actually be skilled. First of all, I truly believe that it starts with social media, what you're putting out, and to make this industry look good, right? Because it is good. There is, and I'm speaking for because I worked on both sides. I worked at corporate America, I worked for Northwest Mutual and finance. So I've been a corporate woman, and now that I am in the skill trade, this just works out for me better. However, it's not just about being a laborer, right, or a foreman. It's the whole pie. You need to have a skilled engineer if you have one, or a project manager. How do you do that? You got to go out and push what you're selling, right? So we are selling this industry. It's cool to do this, and be honest about it, right? A lot of people think of blue collar workers of they only make such and such amount of money a year. And that's not true. I know what I pay my employees and they all live good. Just really just pushing that narrative because it's the truth of being and just really just being honest and not a fluff. 'Cause I feel like, when people push 4-year colleges a lot, or it puts you in the mind that when you graduate, you're going to have this degree, you're going to go out and get this great job and you're going to be making all this money. And that's not the truth. However, a first year laborer can make, you know, upwards or I think more like $40,000-$50,000 versus someone coming out of a 4-year college and they have this degree that cost them almost 100 grand and they're not even making that when they're going into their first job. It's only going to happen if we really start with the youth first. It's so hard to kind of cultivate a grown up because you really have to be teachable. I feel like, it only happens if we are getting back to the youth and pushing it, you know, back in like the schools and, things like that. And hyping up 2-year colleges.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, kind of speaking of like building community and overcoming challenges, you're on a panel coming up at CONEXPO-CON this year. It's called the Empower Her Workshop. Tell us a little bit about it. I know that it's going to be moderated by Missy Sherbird. There's Katie Kelleher and Amy Underwood are also on it. Tell us a little bit about this workshop. I believe it's a 2-day event, correct?
It is a 2-day event. It's definitely going to be really good for the women to come along because I know that some women, not all women, but some women have a hard time navigating this industry. Even though some companies are very welcoming to, to women. However, that's not the story for all women. I know that we are all going to, talk about our process, our challenges and things like that, and how to combat and how to grow, within this industry. So it's going to be extremely phenomenal for women. And those women that I'm on a panel with are phenomenal, extremely educated, and have a lot of experience. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped for it. It's definitely new for 2026, and it kind of coincides with Women in Construction Week, and I think it's going to offer some real value just about creating community, sharing experiences, and kind of like the best practices, even for businesses now. And I think the workshop is probably also very important because it inspires and educates. It addresses unique challenges as well in the community, and maybe like let's just touch a little bit on the inspiring and educating. We were just touching on that kind of as a whole. We need to get trades, in the schools and whatnot. But generally speaking, it's a lot of males that are navigating towards this industry. So, what are some things that you believe or you think are strong points for women to start getting involved in the trades?
Confidence is key. You cannot come into this business and let a man or their expertise, right, or their point of view to kind of bulldoze you over. What you bring to the table is a value, and if you know that it's valuable, always speak up. So that is my biggest thing in this industry, because you can definitely get walked over in this industry. Coming into this industry, the best thing that you can do outside of that of confidence is being very sisterly towards other women that's coming into this industry. Building a village and a sisterhood with other women in this industry can take you far as well. Women are extremely valuable to construction, especially the truck drivers. They are phenomenal. And it's okay to not just apply for a job or being in the office. Maybe you bring more value into the field, and look into that. Just don't sell yourself short. Don't, stay small within this industry. This industry is already male dominated, and I don't foresee it being women dominated ever, but I know that we will always have a place in this industry. It really is go big or go home with women in this industry. So I think that you should have that mindset and always come in to grow. Do not stay stagnant in that one position for 20, 30 years. Move around within this position in this industry and figure out, because even though like I am president and CEO here, I step out in the field too, because I'm just as good out there as well. I'm not a person that's gonna, hey, I'm the owner, so I don't post. Nope. If someone calls in or someone's dropping the ball out there or anything, it doesn't matter. What I'm doing, I assure you, I will take those heels off and strap those boots out and get out there with those guys, because the job is going to get done.
That's the confidence that comes in, and I think what I want to know and touch on a little bit more is what builds the confidence. Because at the beginning of the podcast, you were talking about being a woman minority, being a woman in the industry, and you're talking about, what you're talking about. Walking into a room, that's what sets you apart, and that's what, also ultimately helps you in the industry. So I would I would believe that, what builds confidence is also knowing your industry really well. But what sort of things, if a girl's like, okay, like I want to build my confidence, but where do I start? Where do I start to build my confidence?
Confidence can be built. I feel like I've always been a confident person, so that just came natural to me. I can appreciate taking on a challenge. All of us, we have it in us. You just need to, it needs to come out. That is where your village is going to come from. That is where your sisterhood comes in at. And you need that, because you may not be as vocal as me or another woman, in your industry. Having other women in this industry with you that you can lean on and you can talk to, and someone, inspire you and motivate you. You need that in this industry, because like I said, men are very opinionated, men are very ego driven, men can, and I don't think some of them are intentionally trying to do it. It's just how men operate. And so you have to operate like a man sometimes and still keep your feminine about yourself. You have to come in and be just as direct. You have to come in and be matter of fact. You have to come in and set precedents of who you are, because you're not going anywhere. So as long as you have that in your mind, I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. And what you bring to the table matters. I assure you, it's going to come out of you. You will state your claim. You will talk more and be more vocal. It's not the easiest. It may not happen right away, but eventually it will. But having that village and that's why I love other organizations like Women of Asphalt. We need more organizations like that, because it's not a lot of women in asphalt. It's not a lot of women in construction, but the numbers are growing. We're getting there. I believe that is really going to be like the only way. I can't say, oh, you need to pray about it or talk to. The last thing you should talk to a man about having confidence for a woman. You have to get with your village and your sisters, and build that sisterhood with other women. And it doesn't have to be within your company. That's why these organizations are coming around. I have a mentor through through Women of Asphalt, and her business is all the way in Texas, and we don't talk frequently, but she has instilled so much in me. Now I speak up so much more, of just hearing what she had to gone through, because she's been in the business longer than I have. And for her to be able to get to where she is, it's not going to be being docile. That's for sure. You have to embody a man.
I think you nailed it, and I think it's also funny when you said like don't talk to a guy about being a woman in construction, and like find yourself a community. I think that's probably actually why the Empower Her workshop is works so well as well too, because people are listening to this conversation, but they're also listening to it coming from a guy's trying to ask you questions about it. And if it was two females that were in the industry talking right now, you guys would be able to be like just feeding off each other of like, oh yeah, okay, let's touch on that, that's important, and I think that's what's so cool. I mean, you look at somebody, Amy Underwood, Missy Sherwood or Katie, just being in the industry, and you kind of all share your same experiences and what's going on, and you're able to kind of chat about that. But when you mention like having a community, I think that's really important. I think that's where social media is good too, because like all yourself included and everybody on that panel kind of shares their story on social media as well too. So it makes it more relatable or more reachable for people to see that. And I have a daughter, two daughters, and hopefully one day they like to come in the industry, and I hope that they look up to girls like Ebony online, and I hope that they see what you guys are doing and being champions for the industry. What type of message do you think, yourself included, do you think these social media construction influencers, women that are influencers for, or not even influencers, just spokespeople, for the industry online, what type of message should we be putting out there? Should they and you be putting out there?
Trades are the way to go. That's it. It's not to take away from, going to get a law degree or a doctorate in something. What I'm saying is we really need to be pushing this industry. It's not a dying industry. It's actually really growing, but we can grow more and we can grow faster if we push this industry harder towards the younger generation. The younger generation, and not just boys. This is not just a man's field. There are women. I was just looking at some content from a woman engineer, and at times she wears her pink hard hat. I do too. And she goes out there, and she's extremely educated, and she knows exactly what she's doing, if not more than her counterpart. So really, just pushing this industry to bring both males and females into this industry, and not just laborers either. You have people who are younger generation who are extremely good at math. That's your next engineer, project manager, or estimator. That brings quality to this industry, because you need a good project manager on these for the projects that you're taking on. This is not work that you can just wing in social media. Those two things, social media, because everyone's on it. That's why cable went down. No one's really, watching TV like that anymore. How are you going to get to the thoughts of people? You get to them through social media. And where do people go? Where the hype is. If you are boring, you just pushing out bland content, of course someone's going to keep scrolling. But you're making this industry look not only cool, but lucrative, you're going to gain more employees or people looking to join this industry. I could be posting something on my social media, but they live where you live. And then, they come in and apply at your job. I mean, at your company, so we got to do that. I think that's the way.
Speaking about hype and what's fun in the industry and building up the industry, this CONEXPO kind of coming up, which is obviously there's a lot of hype around it. What is this is your first CONEXPO?
This is my first Con Expo. I'm hyped up about Connex. Of course, my portion, I'm really excited about that because I love speaking to women about what we do and really because I know that this is the time where we gaining that momentum because our seasons typically start around March, April. So it's going to be super cool. I'm so glad. I pray that we have a lot of women that's coming. I know we had a lot of great women that came to World of Asphalt last year. So I'm looking for all those asphalt women that own the companies and or that work alongside their dad, or a couple of heavy hitters that are women that are play big roles, if not owning the company themselves. And I'm praying that all of those women are there to show that we are just as good, if not better.
Well, there's people coming from all over the world, and what's the biggest thing, I guess, that you're looking forward to? And first, I do want to say, like, crazy honor, and that's amazing that you get to be on this workshop and be a part of it. And that is so cool. And that's a massive notch on the belt for you. So congrats on that as well too. Well earned and well deserved. Outside of that, like, yeah, what are you most excited about? Like, what's your preconceived idea of CONEXPO, not being there yet and not seeing it? And then after, I'm sure we'll do a podcast in the future, you'd be like, oh, I was so right about this, or I was so wrong. But like, what do you expect?
First of all, I expect thousands of people to be here. This is a huge deal. I just had a friend that was in Vegas, and she seen all of the hype before we even get there, right? So it's all on the billboards and things like that. So I know it's going to be a huge turnout. I'm looking forward for that. I'm looking, of course, to network and to build relationships. I'm looking for Kat to be there because I'm ready to buy some new equipment for that. I'm excited about the classes and the panels that we have this year. We didn't have, panels at World of Asphalt. And that is my favorite part. You can do a lot of walking around and then you go back to your room because this is just the big expo. But really having pockets of different panels going on. Something's going on over here, something's going on, so you really get a big use out of and value out of your day, especially towards the latter time, because people get tired, during expos. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's new out as far as the equipment goes. And I am extremely excited and looking forward to the multiple panels that are going on, to hearing different perspectives and taking different classes because you want to bring that value back to your business. But the panels definitely got me. That's probably my number one.
Yeah, the educational sessions are what was most exciting for me last time that I went. I think there's a lot of value in them, and I think that's really cool. If people are listening, you can add them onto your pass, like through the ConExpo website. You can go through and see all the different sessions, even the EmpowerHER one, and you can kind of add it onto your badge. And you know, I just think that there needs to be more advocates for the educational session. Like, it's so cool going and seeing the machinery and talking to people, and you can still do that, but there's something to be said about like really finding your niche. And I think that's what's so specific about ConExpo is they have so many panels that are niched into exactly what you want to marketing, technology, equipment.
It's something for everybody. Yeah, this time around. That's awesome. So you won't feel like you're fading into the background, or you're just there. You kind of standing around aimlessly, and it's something for everybody. So I think that was a great component, and they should do more of that. I don't know if this is going on, but hopefully it is, that it'll be different companies, or like you there doing individual podcasts. So when you come by, like the awards, come on, let me get a word in with you, and what's going on with your business, and how can just things like that. Which, because we need, because everybody can't come to Connex, right? So if they had something that they can kind of listen into while they're away, or they can kind of see what's going on, you need stuff like that. So I think that's great, because it's something for everybody.
Yeah, and I think actually what they offer is a lot of the educational sessions that they're filmed as well too. And I think that people can see them after, they can buy them after, and which I think is really neat as well too. What are your plans, between now and Con Expo to get prepared for that? Just what does that look like between now and Con Expo? It's coming up really quick.
Me and my team are getting together in about 2 weeks and we are starting to plan. So I have some notes that I want to do. We're going to be doing a lot of filming on our own because this is their boss's first time being on a panel for Connex. It's my first time being at Connex. So we are all excited about that. They've been cheering me on, things like that. So planning out what do we want to buy? Of course, that's number one. And then two is who do we want to network with? Because we are building a brand ourselves here at Jennings Asphalt. And I know that this year we are catering more towards the women. So we have some merch we want to kind of give out and I'll see how that goes. That's pretty about it. I know we were really just paying attention to what do we want to buy, especially my foreman. They are just extremely excited about the new equipment that we want to, purchase. And really just meeting some of everybody. I mean, we know each other from Instagram, right? And we want to network and see how we can all work together some way, somehow. That was our biggest thing because we are much fans of you all. Your podcast. We listen to around the shop at times when we're fixing things around here, or I'm listening to it in the truck. Yeah, we're just looking forward to that. This is we kind of baby stepping our way in because it's our first big event, and we're just excited.
So many people share the exact same thing that you're talking about because there's people that are seasoned vets of going, then there's people where it's their first time. And I think that that's what's so great about it. And then also companies of all different sizes. I mean, like companies that are massive, there's a 1,200 person company near us, like they go. And then company like us where we got 20, 25 people, we go. And I think that's what's so cool is everybody's experience is unique, but you're able to also relate to a lot of people that go. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. And I really appreciate you also coming on today and talking to us about that. And I just want to reiterate to people that it's a 2-day, I believe it's March 6th and 7th, right? The Empower Her workshop.
Correct. The guys need to come along too. And you listen, not just for women. Don't send your wives and girlfriends or your assistant or just to listen. You come over and you listen too, because it could be something that you could be doing better for your company that caters to the women that work for you. How you can be a better, or, things that you don't need to fix that you're doing right. And, you can just, hey, this person works for me. She went on a panel and she went to listen, or, whatever the case may be. I think, guys, that would be a great thing for you to do is come and listen to the women's perspectives and how we got to be into this business. Because all of us, even though I'm a third generational business owner, everything that I own, that I have, nothing was given to me. My grandfather had already passed away and all his things were sold. Every truck, every tool I have, every contract I have, I had to build it myself. I went out and got it. I networked. That's why I said that confidence for women comes in at, because I'll walk on your job site and see that you were in the first stage of business. And I know that you're putting asphalt down for this. I will walk on your job site. And 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure I'll be doing that asphalt, on once the conversation is done. So come in here, women, listen to us too, because women, especially us women in this industry, it's majority men. So we're always listening to you. So come and just listen in with us as well.
That's like perfect. It's a great opportunity to actually just stop talking and listen, and I think that'd be perfect. And there's no better women than, everybody that's in that panel discussion than to be talking about that than you guys. So I generally think that CONEXPO nailed it with who they got. And yeah, I'm super excited. And we'll see you March 3rd to the 7th down there. People, get your tickets. Make sure to check it out. Ebony, thank you for coming on today, and I really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this CONEXPO-CON podcast brought to you by our friends over at John Deere Power Systems. We'll catch you on the next one. See you at the show.